Veterans Stadium, the site of the 1988 World Speedway Team Cup Championship. Tonight, teams from Denmark, Sweden, England, and the USA will battle it out over 20 heats to see who is the top team in the world. 1 week ago tonight in Boyens, Denmark, the Danish squad featured 3 riders, Erik Gundersen, Hans Nielsen, and Janno Petersen. They took the top 3 spots in the World Championship. Tonight, the USA will be represented by the brothers Moran, Sean and Kelly, Sam Malenko, Lance King, and Rick Miller. 20 heats are coming up. The first one's coming at you in just 1 more second.
The World Team Cup final saw its origins back in 1960 in Gothenburg, Sweden. In that inaugural year, Sweden scored 44 points and took the crown over England, Czechoslovakia, and Poland. Tonight is the 29th renewal of the World Team Cup Speedway Championship, and if you've been around it the last few years, one word can describe the victors. That's Denmark. They've won the crown 5 years in a row, and the last time they lost was back in 1982 at White City, England, when the USA beat them. That year, the USA was led by Bruce Penhall. Their closest call since then came right here at Long Beach Veterans Stadium in 1985. Denmark took the crown in '85, but they only did it by 2 points in the most exciting World Team Cup Speedway meeting ever staged. On your screen right now is the GM motorcycle of Sweden's Jimmy Nilsson. As you see, he's getting it out of a community tank, the fuel there. All riders in this meeting use the same fuel out of the same tank pumped by the same guy all night long. That could be bad news for the rest of the competitions. They're going to need nitro if they hope to beat the Danes tonight. We're going to give you a quick walk through the pits, and you can get the feel of what it's like to be in the pit area on a big race meeting like we have here at Long Beach Veterans Stadium tonight. That's American team manager John Scott talking with Ricky Miller right there. They're on the American portion of the pits. As you see in the background, the British Union Jack flying over the England's portion of the pits. Each team has their own separate part of the pit area. As we continue our walk through the pits, we should remind you that the World Team Cup has a new format for 1988. Well, really, it's almost like the old format. From 1960 through 1985, the World Team Cup Speedway Championship was decided on one night of action. In 1986, the FIM stepped in and they said, we're going to do this over 3 nights, cumulative points. The team with the most points at the end of the 3 nights, they're going to win the World Team Cup. What they did was they staged 1 meeting in England, 1 in Denmark, and 1 in Sweden. The problem was the Danes had such huge leads by the time they got to the 3rd and final round, no tickets were sold for the events, and this year they decided to go back to the one-night format. We should remind you that the last time Denmark lost anything in a World Team Cup, they didn't lose the crown last year, but they did lose the final meeting in the World Team Cup Championship at Coventry, England, and the USA beat them. Still, the USA only managed to finish 3rd behind champions Denmark and 2nd place England. Right now here at Long Beach, you see the FIM officials as they go out onto the racetrack at the parade before the meeting. Coming up right here, that's Gary Havelock, England's reserve rider.
The team manager said that if any of the riders don't go as well as expected, I'll be straight in, so I'll just keep my bikes warmed up all night and keep my goggles ready and everything, ready to go straight out, you know.
Well, they were talking about you in Speedway Mail just a couple of weeks ago. They said one of the reasons you were put on the team is your bulldog spirit.
Yeah, well, you know, the track I race in England is a really big track, the same as Long Beach here, and I'm not really noted for getting out the gate so fast, so I just have to move out on the wall and try and find the dirt and come through from behind, you know.
Out to one of Gary's English teammates.
Chris Morton, riding for England at number 8.
Chris, you're a long-time Speedway veteran, but this is your first ever appearance here in the United States.
Yeah, it's very strange. Last time the World Team Cup was here, I had a bit of controversy with the team manager and I didn't come here. When the World Final was here also, I missed out. So it's the first time for me in 16 years of racing.
What do you think of Southern California so far? You've only been here for a day, but what's your impressions?
Oh, I love it, especially with the sunshine. Always love the sunshine.
What about this racetrack here? What do you think of Long Beach? You've cut a few practice laps now.
Yeah, it's a very inviting track, and I've been out, as you say, I've had 1 practice. Very pleased with it, I like it. It's very, very tempting to race on.
How do you fancy England's chances in this meeting Saturday night?
Oh, we've got to fancy them. Obviously, the Danes are probably favourites. They're going so well at the moment, but they're there to be beaten. And obviously the Americans and the Swedes, you know, they're all top-class riders. That's why we're here today, and it's really anyone.
Now let's have a word with England's team leader.
Simon Wigg, I'm the England captain. I ride at number 7 tonight.
It's your first ride in the USA. You weren't here the last time England was in the World Team Cup, but it seems like you guys have a much tougher squad in 1988.
Yeah, we've got a really good team. We you know, intend to come and really put on a show tonight, and we think we've got a good chance of winning. So, you know, really looking forward to it.
How much is the lower end strength of your team compared to the other teams in this meeting?
Well, I think we've got a pretty balanced squad, really. We've got 4 boys that are capable of beating anybody in the meeting on their day, so it's just a question of making sure we fire on the night all at the same time, and, you know, we hope we can do it.
Sweden hasn't won the World Team Cup final since 1970. Before that, they won it 5 times. They are the second winningest team in World Team Cup Speedway final history. Tonight, it's going to take a near miracle for them to win the crown. But if any rider's going to help them, it's going to be Per Jonsson, the winner of the 1988 Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet.
Per Jonsson from Sweden.
This is your second time at Long Beach. What was your impression of this track the last time you were here in 1985?
Well, I've been grown up quite since that. I was just started to get in the Swedish team and that, so hope I do a bit better than I did last time.
You've been doing pretty well on the international circuit. You were 5th in last year's World Final?
Yeah, so, well, I was a bit unlucky this year in the World Final. I was excluded from my first race and that, so well, everything is going my way this way though.
Everybody's coming in, a lot of the people here in the USA and some of the other people from England, they're saying Denmark's going to win this, the USA's and England are going to battle for second, Sweden's going to finish 4th. We've talked to a few other people here today and they disagree. They say Sweden's going to be right in the hunt with the USA and England.
Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a good team, a young team. I mean, me and Jim and Tone and Connie is going good, and we got Henrik and he's good on big tracks and that, so I think we're going to try to go for it.
Per might have won that Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet, and that is one of the most prestigious motorcycle races in the world, but he's going to have to pull out all the stops if Sweden's to beat the Danes at Long Beach Veterans Stadium tonight. Like we said earlier, the Danes have won this one 5 years in a row. They're coming off a World Speedway Championship in their home country of Denmark last Saturday night. They took the top 3 spots. Right there, that's the new Danish champion, the Intercontinental champion, and 3rd in the world, Jano Petersen. Sitting right next to little Jano was Tommy Knudsen. He scored the maximum 3 years ago here at Long Beach. The new world champion, Eric Gundersen, with the old world champion, Hans Nilsson. Let's go to Eric in the pits right now. Eric Gundersen, the 1988 World Speedway champion. You've been in Southern California for about a week now. Tonight it's time to get down to work.
That's right. We've had a tremendous time here. We flew in on Monday night and we've had a time to acclimatize a bit. It's a little bit different to be on the other side of the world here, and you know, we're really looking forward to tonight's meeting.
You guys have been through this so many times, Denmark in the 1980s and the 1970s. Any butterflies as we get ready for tonight's meeting?
Certainly is, and you know, I'm looking forward to racing out here. I mean, the track is absolutely brilliant condition, and you know, we're getting the old World Championship butterflies coming up, and that's what you need to go out there and produce it on the night.
From the Danes, we switch to the host team, the USA. Coming up in the first truck, that's co-team manager Bobby Schwartz. He's right there for one of the most important members of the team, Ricky Miller.
Yeah, it's a big night. It's going to be a real hard night of racing. I would say Denmark are probably firm favorites, but if we all ride to our best, we can beat them. And hopefully we have all the crowd support, which we expect to have here.
Ricky's very important to the team as he is the reserve. He comes in when the USA needs a good kick to get going to start gaining some points later in the meeting. One rider he probably won't come in to replace is Shaw Moran.
Really tough meeting. We're going to have the fans behind us, which means a lot to us. You know, it'll give us a bit of push, and depending on the track situation and getting out of the gate, it's going to be very important. I mean, Denmark has been really in the World Championship for the last 3 or 4 years, you know, and they've got us a bit on a lower class, you know, from doing all that. But tonight, you know, it's a little different. We are home in America, and it has a lot to do with it. And I think tonight, if everybody can go good, which takes everybody on the team, I think we stand a very good chance.
As the riders stand on the front straight and wave hello to the fans, they're looking at fans from all over the globe. We have tons of fans from Denmark, Sweden, and England, and of course, the biggest majority of the fans are from right here in the USA. They've come to support the American team that almost won back in 1985, and Bobby Schwartz was a top scorer in 85. Here he's helping the boys as co-team manager in 1988. John Scott, you're the team manager for the American boys tonight. What are their chances coming into this one?
Well, I explained to all the boys, we had a team meeting about 10 minutes ago, that this is the most important meeting of their lives. It's on their home territory. We had the meeting here in 1985, and we didn't win it, but tonight we're all teed up, ready to topple the Danes from their platform that they've been standing on for the last few years.
The riders are making their way back to the pits, getting ready for the first event of the night. The fans are still streaming into Long Beach for the 29th annual World Team Cup Speedway Championship. Going across the infield right there, that's Lance King and Ricky Miller. 2 guys that grew up together, and tonight they're representing the USA in one of the biggest speedway meetings in the world. Co-captain Bobby Schwartz jogs back, but he's going to stop to have a word with Eric Bucock. Take a look and you know you're in Southern California for racing with a site like this. These girls are going to welcome out every race before it gets started with cards, just like ring cards at a boxing match. To be honest with you, I've seen races all over this country and in different parts of the world, and this is a tradition that you only find in sunny Southern California. This is only the third time the track here at Long Beach has been used in 1988. It was used earlier in the year for the Spring Classic, the American Speedway Final, and now the World Team Cup. According to riders and officials, this might well be the best speedway track in the world. We're just about ready to get going with event number 1 in the 1988 World Team Cup Speedway Championship. In this one, we're going to have Sweden's Jimmy Nilsson off the pole. Coming off that number 2 slot, it's going to be England's captain, Simon Wigg. Out of gate number 3, the man who scored the maximum the last time we were here at Long Beach, Tommy Knutson of Denmark, and representing the USA and coming from gate number 4, Lance King. Remember, if you ever get lost while watching tonight's video, Denmark has red helmet covers, England has blue, Sweden has white, the USA has yellow and black. They're all ready to fly off the gate in event number 1. That's Jerry King, the starting marshal, stepping out of the way. Off the pole, it's Sweden's Nilsson into the lead with Knutson holding down the 2nd spot and Wigg in 3rd. The 1988 World Team Cup Speedway Championship's underway, and Sweden has the lead. In the 1985 version, the first time the World Team Cup was ever held at Long Beach, Denmark and the USA won every single heat. Lance King just goes by Simon Wigg off turn 4. He's in the 3rd spot as Wigg drops off the pace drastically. Jimmy Nilsson trying to pick up an upset win. He's not quite halfway there yet. Jimmy's riding a GM. He rides for the Swindon Robins in the British League, and he's got a smooth line going here at Long Beach right now. Knutson, as we said earlier, was undefeated last time that the World Team Cup was held here. He's having a tough time making up any ground on Jimmy Nilsson. Knutson looks to the outside as they go down the back chute on lap 3, but Nilsson's got him beat. Lance King's trying to pick up ground on the middle of the track in the 3rd position. Now working for Lance, Jerry King shows the white flag, and if we're correct, he should be showing a yellow and black flag for the final lap. Jimmy Nilsson less than a lap away from a big upset victory here in the World Team Cup final. Knutson goes to the dirt the final time around. It's not going to work. Coming down for the checkered flag, Sweden has the lead with 3 points. Jimmy Nilsson takes the win. Knutson gets 2 points for 2nd, with Lance King finishing 3rd and getting 1 point for the USA. England's Simon Wigg was far off the pace in that one. Way out of touch for England. England's going to have to come on strong in that one. It's going to be tough against the USA and Denmark. Check out more of the California girls. Right now, we're going to the pits with former world champion Barry Briggs and Sweden's Jimmy Nilsson.
First corner, what was on behind you? You knew Knutson was there. So was it worrying you at all?
No, it was, first race is always stay on the inside line, and I stayed tight and I know where he was, and he was not catching or losing anything, so I thought if I ride the quickest line, no chance to go past me anyway.
How'd you find the track?
It's brilliant, I love it.
Great, good ride.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Jimmy Nilsson looked fine in event 1 right there. That's Sweden's next hope. Coming from gate 4, it's going to be Tony Olsson. Out of gate 3 in this one, America's favorite, Sam Ermolenko. Out of gate 2, the new World Speedway champion, Eric Gunderson. And off the pole, from England, Simon Cross. 1 week ago, Ermolenko was the only man given any kind of chance to beat the Danes in the World Championship. He didn't do it. Now he's got to try to do it here in the USA at the World Team Cup final. That's Ermolenko. He comes around. Cross, he takes 2nd. He, with a brilliant move, he goes inside Gunderson and puts his GM in the lead. Ermolenko has won the American final at Long Beach the last 2 years. Shocks everybody. He passes the new world champion, Eric Gunderson, and he's at the head of the pack. Gunderson's running 2nd right now with Simon Cross in 3rd. Sweden's young Tony Olsson running at the back of the pack. We forgot to give you the time on that first event of the night. It was 71.8 for the first heat race of the night, the one that went to Jimmy Nilsson. Ermolenko's on the dirt line. Gunderson's right behind him with Simon Cross trying to get inside Gunderson for 2nd. 2 laps to go for son Sam Ermolenko and the USA to take their first heat advantage here at the World Team Cup final. What a difference 3 years makes. Look at Ermolenko in the lead. 3 seasons ago, he was only the reserve in the World Team Cup final. Coming down for the last lap flag. Cross, he goes inside Gunderson. England is in 2nd. Simon Cross shocks the new world champion. Gunderson goes from 1st to 3rd in this one. Coming out of the final bend for the final time in the USA's first win of the meeting, sudden Sam Ermolenko. The checkered flag comes out. Simon Cross is shocked 2nd, Eric Gunderson 3rd, and Tony Olsson 4th. Listen to the time on this one. Almost 3 seconds faster in the first heat. Ermolenko turns it in 69 seconds flat. A new Long Beach track record.
A fantastic race. World champion Eric Gunderson. Looks as though he started on it. What was your thoughts when you entered that first corner?
Well, out of the start is where it started. I didn't quite get the jump with him, And as soon as we went in the corner, I can see that the guy on the inside was going to push him, so I just seen it, turned back, and it worked perfect for me.
A fabulous ride. Let's hope the Americans keep on this great style.
Thanks, Barry.
It's a fabulous start for the USA. They lead after 2 heats with 4 points. Denmark and Sweden have 3 each, with England on 2. In this one, Jano Peterson's off the pole. Sean Moran of the USA is on the outside, and Shuey gets the gate. Moran came all the way across the track and pulled it down on Little Peterson in turn 1. Peterson's currently running second with 3rd spot, Per Johnson. At the back of the pack is England's longtime veteran and one of Speedway's real nice guys, Chris Morton. The USA shocking Denmark right here. Another win would advance their lead to 2 points if Denmark hangs on to the 2nd spot. Moran takes a look back at Peterson as they go down the back chute on lap 2. You saw Peterson. He came into the corner wide on the dirt line, and then he went low trying to get by Moran. 2 laps down, Sean Moran in the lead. The USA is trying to win their 2nd heat in a row. Denmark's Jano Peterson tucked in right behind. Chris Morton and Per Johnson are bringing up the last 2 spots in this one. Look at Johnson as he closes drastically on the 2 leaders. Peterson goes by Moran on the outside as they take the last lap flag. Moran goes down in turn 1. He's tagged by Johnson. Johnson saves it. The USA almost had a 2-point lead. They're going to fall behind the meeting. Jano Peterson out of turn 4 in the checkered flag. 2nd spot to Per Johnson. 3rd to Chris Morton. The USA less than 15 seconds away from another win, gets a 0, and they fall behind in the meeting. They're actually back in 3rd place. Denmark has 6 points. Sweden has 5. The USA has 4 and 3 to England.
Sean is on a roll, going like the wind. American needs it. Crown standing on their feet. What happened?
Well, Barry, after I made a gate, you know, and I got ahead of Jano, who was the rider I was really worried about, I thought things were fine. And then after a lap, my bike started going a bit slower, so it seemed to be something was up. And, well, eventually Jano made a good corner in the back corner down here in 3 and 4 and set me up, and it seemed like a drag race down to turn 1, and he might have just had the edge on me, but unfortunately as I went into the corner, my engine seized up and there was nothing I could do.
And your next race?
Well, I got my other bike, which is just as good, and I think we should be all right. You know, we just got to get the gate situation down because the track ain't very deep, and it's going to be more or less follow the leader type tonight, and it makes it difficult because if guys are in front, you know, there's no dirt to really get around, but we'll try. Anything can happen.
A real tough break for Sean Moran and the USA in heat number 3. Let's hope they can regain it here in heat number 4. Hans Nielsen, the 2-time world champion, gets a spectacular gate out of gate number 2. Running in the 2nd spot's Kelvin Tatum with the USA's Kelly Moran in 3rd. Moran missed the gate bad out of the number 3 slot. It's going to be tough to make this ground up. Up in front of him are 2 of the world's best riders, Hans Nielsen and Kelvin Tatum. Look at Nielsen fly up the head of the pack. He's riding a GM. He won the world final in 1986 and 1987. 1 week ago tonight, he finished 2nd to teammate Eric Gundersen in the 1988 world final. Halfway through, Denmark could have a nice lead if they hang on to win this one. Hans Nielsen riding mistake-free thus far in event number 4. He's on a Godden, one of the few Goddens in this meeting. Most of the riders are riding Italian-made GMs. Coming down for the last lap flag. We said earlier the white flag was out a few times. That was absolutely correct, and Denmark protested as they said Eric Gundersen thought it was a checkered flag in event number 2, and he backed off and allowed Simon Kraus to pass him at the end of the event. Coming off the final corner, it's going to be Hans Nielsen. He's going to take the win. Look at the wheelie by Nielsen. You know he's celebrating. Kelvin Tatum gets 2nd, Kelly Moran's 3rd, and the 4th spot goes to Connie Iverson.
Tom Hamilton, I've been a sports writer for the LA Times for 20 years.
Okay, Tom, you're out here at the World Team Cup final, and you're an expert on this sport. What do you think after you've seen the first few rounds?
I think that the United States is in big trouble. I think Denmark will win the event with no problem, and I think England will surprise the U.S. The U.S. will be 3rd.
Hans, 5 points up. Looked a little bit dodgy there for a minute, but you seem to have got it back under control again.
Well, that's right. We had a little problem in Eric's race. He thought the white flag was a finish line because normally you have a yellow flag for the last lap, but they had a white one, so he sort of slowed down and let somebody by him. But apart from that, I'm quite happy with being 5 points ahead. The track is really good. I think we'll see some very good racing here today.
Do you fancy you're going to lose that 5 points?
I don't think so. I think we're sitting on top of the world now, and I think we can stay there. I think everybody's going well, and I think we can win it.
Good ride.
Thanks.
Thanks to Tom Hamilton and Barry Briggs. There's a concerned Sam Ermolenko. The USA had a tough time in the first round. They have to regroup and get things together for round 2. We're just about ready to start round 2 with event number 5. That's Per Johnson of Sweden out the pole, Kelly Moran out of 2, Simon Cross out of 3, and on the outside, Tommy Knudsen. Johnson takes that gate off the pole and moves Knudsen out of the way. That opens up the inside line for Kelly Moran, and he pounces on it, takes the second spot. Knudsen trying to come around Moran as they get on the back straightaway. Moran takes him wide in turn 3, and he takes over the number 2 spot all by himself. Per Johnson on the only Jawa in this meeting has the lead, and he's moving out fast. Sweden failed to win a heat race the last time the World Team Cup Championship was held here in Long Beach. That was 3 years ago. 1988 is much different. This is heat number 5. If Johnson hangs on for 2 more laps, Sweden has 2 wins already. Moran starting to move away from Knudsen. England, who's had their problems early, they're mired in last with Simon Cross back there. Per Johnson just flying in this one. Per was the under-21 championship winner just a few years ago. This year he won the Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet, and he's trying to lead Sweden to the World Team Cup Speedway Championship here in Long Beach in 1988. Down the back straightaway for the final time, Per Johnson looking for his first win of the night. Kelly Moran has a firm lock on second. Checkered flags out, and Per Johnson has the win. Moran beats Knudsen across the line for second, with Simon Cross getting fourth.
Bill Boyce has come a long way for this meeting for the American Motorcycle Association. Everybody knows a promoter for a Speedway World Championship event has a lot of work to do, but how much does the AMA have to put in?
Well, we have to go to the FIM a year in advance in January and apply it to February meeting for the following year's World Championship to get our name in the hat.
So it's not just Harry decides one day he's going to do this, calls you, and then 2 days later, here we are at Long Beach Veterans Stadium.
No, the FIM is working on about a 5 to 7 year schedule. We're working right now to see when we can work in a world individual like we had 3 years or 5 years ago.
So the fans of Southern California and the USA have that to look forward to in the future?
We're certainly looking forward to it. The next major event we should have will be a round of the Intercontinental Final, and that should be coming up in '90, and I'll know better after I come back from the October meeting this fall.
We have our first reserve coming into event 6 out of gate number 2. 18-year-old Henrik Gustafsson of Sweden is going to replace Connie Iverson. Eric Gunderson, the new world champion, gates off the pole. He beats Sean Moran into the first bend. Gustafsson's at the back battling with Simon Wigg, England's captain. That's Eric Gunderson of Denmark. He's at the point position. He had that disappointing third in his first ride when they threw the white flag instead of the last lap flag. He thought it was a checkered flag, so he backed off and Simon Cross got by. Sean Moran hoping that Eric might make the same mistake in this one, but he's going to try to outride him through this one. Gunderson starting to advance his lead here on lap 2 of the event. After 5 events, Denmark came into this one with a 2-point lead over Sweden and 3-point lead over the USA. Time on that win in the last heat by Per Johnson, by the way, was 69.7. Eric Gunderson still at the point position here at Long Beach. He said this is the best track he has ever raced on at the practice session on Thursday. Coming down for that last lap flag. You know Eric's not going to mistake this one because it's yellow and black. He's got the lead still. Sean Moran, he blew up a motor in his first ride. He's running second. In the third spot for Sweden, it's that reserve rider, Henrik Gustafsson, and Simon Wigg, who is way off the pace tonight, is again at the back of the pack. Coming out of turn 4 the last time, Eric Gunderson has the win, and Denmark has 13 points. Sean Moran takes second with Gustafsson third and Simon Cross fourth. Time on event number 6 was 70.8. Denmark now has a 4-point lead over Sweden and the USA. And England is 8 points behind early in the meeting. That's a shocker because most insiders picked England to battle the USA for second. Instead, they're battling just to catch up to Sweden and the USA in a hope to finish even third. Let's see who we have in the pit.
Probably the nicest guy in American Speedway is here with us tonight. It's Jack Milne, the 1937 World Speedway champion. What do you think about tonight's meeting, Jack?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty good. I think the Americans have got their work cut out for them.
Back when you were racing in Europe back in 1930s and 40s, did you guys race team events like this?
No, we didn't. They didn't have so many riders from European countries. They had England and Australia mainly. And they had a few Danish riders, but they didn't have any Swedish. Well, they had a few, but they didn't have any teams like they have now. They had best pairs, but not team racing.
Okay, Jack, nobody knows more about Speedway in the USA than you. Who's going to win this meeting tonight?
Well, I hate to say it, but I think the Danes may.
Well, Jack thinks the Danes may. Everybody else does too, but let's hope the Americans, right, Jack?
Well, I'm for the Americans, but then they've got good equipment, these Danes, you know that, and that's That's about, I think it's about 90% of it having good bikes.
Well, you can bet every guy in this meeting has a good bike, but the English riders, their good bikes aren't doing them much good so far in this meeting. Off the pole in the lead, it's Sudden Sam Ermolenko. Coming around the outside, check out Jano Peterson. He sweeps around Ermolenko, and Ermolenko owns this track. The tiniest guy on the track. He stands about 5 foot tall, weighs about 100 pounds. Jano Peterson is the biggest figure out here tonight. He is not only past Ermolenko, he's moving away from him. Little Jano Peterson, what a thrill merchant. A wheelie down the back straightaway here in event number 7. Ermolenko still running in the second spot with Sweden's Jimmy Nilsson in third, and Calvin Tatum of England, he's running at the back of the pack. 2 laps down for Jano Peterson, and the fans are beginning to warm up to this little guy. Ermolenko goes way wide, but he still manages to hold off Nilsson for second. Nilsson, he won his first ride, as did Ermolenko and Peterson. But it looks like Peterson's going to be the only rider to come out of round 2 with his unbeaten record still intact. Less than a lap to go for little Jano Peterson. I just saw my buddy Trevor Sparshot walk by. We may be able to get him in the booth before this one's over. Through the final bend, Jano Peterson, the spectacular thrill merchant from Denmark, 6 points out of 2 rides, and Denmark advances their lead to 16-11 over the USA. Let's have a word with world-famous Speedway photographer Mike Patrick.
I'm working for the Speedway Star and about a dozen other magazines throughout the world. Yeah.
And you do that all summer long, work with them, going to Sweden, Germany, Czechoslovakia, and that great resort called Poland?
Yeah, Poland, yeah. I usually come back with a dose of Polish belly. The food's not so hot out there, but everything else is.
You wish you'd come over here to the USA more often for races?
I'd love to. I'd love to live out here. You know, it's fabulous. I've been here whenever I can. I've been out here about 5-6 times now, and I love it. It's great.
As we move into event 8 of the 1988 World Team Cup final here at Long Beach, Denmark is beginning to dominate this meeting. They have a 5-point lead over the USA, and they have Hans Nilsson, rider number 1, in this event. That's Nilsson in the red helmet cover, and he takes the lead off the start, coming from gate number 3 over Tony Olson, Chris Morton, and Lance King. King missed the gate completely, but right there he goes inside Morton to move into the 3rd spot. No matter what King, Olson, and Morton have to do, look at the lead they're going to have to cut down on Hans Nilsson after only 1 lap. Nilsson rides out in the dirt line off the corners, chops it down in the bend, and switches back to the outside for the chutes. He's got this track dialed out tonight. 2 laps down for Hans Nilsson, the 2-time World Speedway champion, and he's looking like he's going to advance Denmark's lead to 6 points after 2 rounds. Nilsson pulled a big wheelie at the end of his first round victory. Let's see if he does it again here in round number 2. 2 laps to go, and Hans Nilsson, it's going to take a mechanical failure or a crash for Nilsson to lose this one. Through the first bend the final time. Hans Nilsson checking back to see where they are. He can't even see him. There's another big patented Hans Nilsson wheelie. Coming through the final bend and down for the Jerry King checkered flag. Hans Nilsson for the win. Second spot with a last lap pass. Lance King over Tony Olson. England's Chris Morton finishes last. In every one of the second round heats, English riders finished last, and they picked up 0 points. Let's go to the pits with Barry and Lance King.
Did you think you'd pull him in? Well, I was gaining in places on him big, and then I was losing when I get sprayed by his dirt. And I made an attempt to go around him in that corner, I think a couple laps earlier, and I weighted up wrong coming in. And I set him up. In this corner, I was riding the wrong line. I just wanted to get close enough to him, you know, to try that corner, try it a little different. I did the time before, and it worked, so I can't be more pleased.
If you had seen the people standing in the stand, you would have realized it's well worth it. Fantastic ride, Lance.
Thank you, Barry.
As we head into heat number 9, England figures it's time for desperation. They're taking Chris Morton out of the lineup and sticking in reserve rider Gary Havelock. Now, if you know Havelock, or you've been around him closely, you know that across the back of his leathers it says, "Let's get brutal." For England to pull anything out in this meeting, they have to get brutal right now. That's Havelock off the pole. Coming out of the number 2 spot will be Knudsen. He's really struggling tonight and only has 3 points. Out of the 3rd spot, that's Connie Iverson of Sweden. And on the outside, Sudden Sam Ermolenko. Ermolenko comes into this one with 1 win and 1 second-place finish. Heading into this one, remember, Denmark has a 6-point lead over the USA. That's Havelock off the pole, England's reserve, and he leads into the first bend, but Ermolenko drives around him. Knudsen's in the back. Tony Olson falls in turn 2. 3 riders left going at it in this one. Tough break for Tony Olson of Sweden. At the head of the pack, it's Sam Ermolenko. In second is Gary Havelock, and in third, it's Tommy Knudsen. England has not scored in 4 heats. Are they actually going to score in this one? With Tony Olson falling, they might actually pick up a point. That's Sam Ermolenko at the head of the pack with a big lead on his GM motorcycle. In the second spot from England, the guy who's getting brutal out there, he's on a GM also. That's Gary Havelock. Running in third will be Tommy Knutson, and like the others, he's on a GM. Ermolenko waves to the American boys as he goes by the pit area on the back straightaway here at Long Beach. Sudden Sam will have 8 of a possible 9 points if he wins this one. He wheelies past the Jerry King last lap flag. That's Havelock in second, just over Knutson, but there's your leader with a big lead, Sudden Sam Ermolenko. Down the back straightaway and into turn 3 for the final time. Ermolenko's going to gather up 3 points for the USA. Coming down for that checkered flag, it's Ermolenko for the win. Second spot goes to Havelock. Third goes to Knutson. The USA picks up 2 points on Denmark. Time for event 9 and Ermolenko's win was 70.0. That's 1 second slower than his first round win. Former world champion Barry Briggs has Sam in the pits right now.
Sam, 2 wins in a second. You must be feeling good. Are the Americans going to catch up the lost ground?
Well, it's unfortunate we had our problems early on. Let's hope that's all we have and we can carry on. I made a change the last race, which helped me. I wish I would have made it one race sooner. But there you go. I got to go out to win the rest of the races just like all the other guys got to try and do on the American side.
Good luck in the next race.
Thanks.
Eric Gunderson, who won his second round race from the pole, now has to come from gate 4 in this one. USA's Lance King's off the pole. Kelvin Tatum of England's out of 2, and Per Johnson of Sweden's out of gate 3. King misses the gate while Gunderson with a splendid gate from the outside pulls it down on everybody, and he has the lead. King tries to drive on the inside. It doesn't work. King goes from second to last in one fell swoop. Running in the second spot right now in that blue helmet cover, that's England's Kelvin Tatum. In the third spot, it's Per Johnson, but it's Eric Gunderson, the newly crowned world champion, trying to make it 2 wins in a row here at Long Beach. Gunderson riding a GM. He's looking flawless in this one. His only fault tonight, he was running second in his opening ride, and that mix-up on the last lap flag forced him to drop to third. But he's got it all dialed in this race. 2 laps down, and little Eric gets it sideways in turn 2. Not sideways enough to close it in. That's King. Buys the rest of this meeting. He goes through turn 2 the last time. He takes a look and sees where Calvin is. Calvin in turn looks back at Per Johnson. He goes through the final bend. Eric Gunderson looking for a win. That's going to stick Denmark's lead back to 7 points. Checkered flag down. It's Eric Gunderson for the win in event number 10. It's 71 seconds even. The second spot goes to Kelvin Tatum, third to Per Johnson, and last to Lance King. England has now scored in 2 races in a row. Let's see if England can make it 3 races in a row in event 11. But before that, let's go to the pits with Barry Briggs and Eric Gunderson, the new world champion.
Eric, controversy in the first heat, mix up on flags. What was in your mind then?
Well, what happened, Barry, was on the last lap, we had a white flag out where normally we have a yellow with a black cross on, and I'm not used to the American way of signals on the track, and I thought it was the finish flag, really. Yeah. So I slowed down and finished up third instead of second.
Yeah. What about your second race? Obviously a good win.
Barry, what can you say? The track is in such a good condition, and you go out there to enjoy yourself, and that's what Speedway is all about. We're going to see some good racing here tonight.
Eric, there's a young lady standing behind you. What do you think of these Californian girls?
They're absolutely lovely. It's great.
You don't look like the full professional now to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting all red, I think. That's lovely.
Things are obviously hot down in the pits, and they're even getting hotter on the track. Kelly Moran looking for some points in this one. That's Kelly right there. He's coming from gate 4. Out of gate 3, the diminutive Dane, Jano Peterson. Out of 2, Swedish reserve Heinrich Gustafsson in for Tony Olson. And Gary Havelock from England off the pole in for Simon Wigg. And that's Havelock in the lead with Gustafsson second. Look at the reserves. They got the 2 top spots. Jano Peterson trying to come inside Gustafsson while Kelly Moran, he missed the start again. He's at the back. Gary Havelock in England with the lead. Peterson goes inside Gustafsson at the end of the first lap. That's for the number 2 spot. The fans are getting into this one, and they're actually cheering on the Danish rider. They are falling in love with little Jano Peterson. He's trying to hunt down Gary Havelock right now. Peterson, man on the inside line. Havelock's on the middle of the track. Havelock holds him off through lap 2. Gary Havelock, a gutty reserve for England. He's holding the flag for the whole country right now. He blocks up Peterson as they come off the second bend on the 3rd lap. Peterson looks wide now. Running in the third spot, Gustafson with Kelly Moran at the back of the field. Havelock again blocks Peterson. Peterson goes to the inside as they hit turn 1 the last time. Havelock drifts wide. He does a wheelie. Peterson alongside and into the lead as they come off turn 2. Havelock tries to go back inside him, but little Yano pulls it down on him. Coming out of turn 4, Yano Peterson for the win and 3 points. What a competitor. Havelock takes second. Third goes to Heinrich Gustafson with Kelly Moran last. I tell you what, that was one of the slowest heats of the night, but Yano Peterson is thrilling all the fans with the way he's going. Let's switch to England's top scorer, Gary Havelock.
Gary, after 3 laps, I thought I was going to interview the first English winner tonight. Fantastic ride, a little bit of trouble. Jano was pressing you.
Yeah, you know, I made a really good start off 1 and drifted out, and I was getting a good line, but then I heard Yano trying to come around the inside, so I was having to go in the corner a lot harder and try and stick to the pole, and I was just drifting with that bit of dirt on the outside, and I just went too wide and hooked up, and he got me, you know.
It was superb. I see you dive him under him down the back straight here, so you didn't let him off easy.
No, when I corrected my mistake from the fence, I was making a real long straight, and I had a lot of speed on him, but he just knew where I was going to go and dropped it to the pole and kept me out, you know.
Well, we're ready to finish round 3 with this race, and the USA better get going because Sweden and England are starting to close in on them. In this one, representing the USA off the pole, that's Sean Moran. He doesn't get the best of starts, and Hans Nielsen beats him through the first turn. Hans Nielsen has been perfect from the start every time out tonight. Little Yano Peterson, his Danish teammate, has had to come from the back, but Nielsen's led it from the pole every time. He has been immaculate out here. That's Sean Moran in second, and he's getting challenged by Sweden's Jimmy Nilsson. Sean Moran tries to size up Hans Nielsen as they come off turn 2, and on the inside, Jimmy Nilsson tries to get by him. Right behind them is Simon Cross for England, and he's been having a tough night. There's your leader, Hans Nielsen. So far, Hans has led every lap of every event he's been on the racetrack for, and he's riding a Gaudin while most of the other boys out here are on Italian-made GMs. Heading into turn 3 and looking perfect, it's Hans Nielsen. Sean Moran is shaking off Jimmy Nilsson in the battle for second. Coming down with another big wheelie, Hans Nielsen. He's been thrilling the crowds, Danes, Americans, and Swedes alike, all night with those, and he's got less than a lap to go for his 3rd consecutive win. Sean Moran takes a look behind, and he sees that battle between Jimmy Nilsson and Simon Cross for the final spot. But here comes your leader with room to spare and another big victory wheelie. Hans Nielsen with his 3rd win of the meeting. Sean Moran gains 2nd. 3rd spot to Jimmy Nilsson, and the wrap-up will go to Simon Cross. Let's see who Barry has in the pits.
Hans, great ride. Looks as though you're enjoying yourself. Not doing much for your money, though, are you?
Well, I don't know. I think we're working pretty hard. It takes a lot of effort to get out there in front, I think. But the track is proving good. There's plenty of dirt on the outside. You can go out there and race, and that's good. And as we're ahead at the moment, we're still having a great time.
You seem to have a very fast line. You won that race very, very easily. Have you found anything different about the track in the last couple of races?
Well, not really. I think the dirt is moving out a bit further, and I think the technique is to go out and use the dirt, and I think we're doing that. Of course, to use the dirt, you need plenty of power, a high gear, and just keep the wheels in line, and out you go.
Well done.
Thank you.
Getting ready to begin the 4th round. Denmark has an 11-point lead over the USA, and they have Eric Gundersen, the winner of his last 2 rides, representing them in this event. Coming off the pole, it's Kelly Moran. He's had a tough night so far. That's England's Chris Morton out of gate 2, and for Mort, a longtime rider, this is his first ever appearance in the USA. Moran misses the gate, but it's Mort beating Gundersen to the first corner. Kelly with a good drive into the first bend moves up to challenge Gundersen for the 2nd spot with Jimmy Nilsson tucked right in behind. At the head of the pack, it's Morton. Gundersen, Moran trading 2nd back and forth with Nilsson looking to find a way through. Gundersen has 2nd at the end of the first lap. Moran beats him back to turn 1. An incredible battle for 2nd, and Gundersen moves back by. As they come into turn 3, Moran's back in 2nd. What a race here in event number 13. Chris Morton giving him a lot of room to try to come by on the inside, but he's awful fast in this one. He sat out the last ride when England co-managers Eric Bucock and Colin Pratt pulled him in favor of reserve Gary Havelock. There you see Gundersen shut off by Moran, and Jimmy Nilsson goes underneath him, but he slides wide in turn 3, and Gundersen goes back by and into 3rd. 1 lap to go for Chris Morton, and England is looking for their first ever victory in World Team Cup competition here at Long Beach. Morton looks down at the bike. Let's hope it holds on. He might have mechanical problems. It'll be hard for him to lose it now, though, as he comes out of the final bend. England for their first 3-pointer of the night. 2nd spot with a great ride to Kelly Moran. Let's go to the pits right now where Barry has Chris Morton.
One out of the box, England struggling, superb win. What went different to your other races?
Yeah, as you say, got out of the box. It makes a hell of a difference when you make a start. I've had 2 races where I was sort of nowhere. In fact, got taken out on my 3rd ride. But we've run out of people to put in, so I put me back in there and jumped out the start, and it's much easier from the front.
What did you do different on the start?
I suppose concentrate a bit harder. There's been a lot of cheating going on. You've got to be very aware of what's happening, and that was it, more awareness.
Well, back on the track, we only have 7 races to go in this meeting, and Denmark has a 10-point lead over the USA. Back in 3rd spot, England, with that win by Chris Morton, is now tied for the 3rd place with Sweden. At the head of the pack, it's Sean Moran and Tommy Knutson. Knutson moves Moran out of the way, and by the time Moran recovers, he goes to last. But he comes right back by Tony Olson on the back chute. Moran now has to catch Kelvin Tatum, and that could be a tough one here at Long Beach. Tatum is one of the top riders in the world, and for the past few years, he has been recognized as England's top rider. Tommy Knutson, the guy who failed to lose a race the last time he was here at Long Beach, has now won in his first 3 rides, but he's leading his 4th ride here in event number 14 in the 1988 World Team Cup Final. Running in 3rd, it's Sean Moran with Sweden's Tony Olson. Olson has not won a race and has not looked all that well here tonight at the back of the pack. That's Knutson with the lead over Kelvin Tatum. Tatum trying to figure out how to get that guide enough to challenge Knutson for that point position. Tatum, the last time we were here, was just a young guy for England. It was his most impressive appearance in international competition to date. Since that time, he's been on the rostrum at the World Speedway Championship, but that's going to do him no good right here as Tommy Knutson comes out of turn 4 the final time and takes the Jerry King checker. 2nd spot to Kelvin Tatum. Finishing 3rd will be Sean Moran, and 4th will be Tony Olson. England moves back ahead of Sweden in the battle for 3rd, and we have 6 races left on the night. Let's meet the godfather of American Speedway. If America has anybody to thank for its world-class meetings, it's Harry Oxley. For the 3rd time he's putting on a world-class meeting. How much work goes into this thing, Harry?
I can't even tell you. Every time I do one, I say it's the last one. I'm never doing that again.
No, we can't put that on tape because everybody wants you to keep doing these.
Well, I do keep coming back and doing them because I love the sport, and that's why I do it. But the work involved certainly isn't worth what comes back to us out of it. I'll guarantee you that.
What do you hope to get out of this? More exposure for the sport of Speedway, obviously.
Well, more exposure for the sport. Naturally, we'd like to make a profit on the meeting. World Championship meetings normally are not profitable because of the expense of bringing everyone and their machines over here. For example, today's crew cost about $35,000 in air freight alone.
So it's like you're paying your fans back for all the loyal support they've given you over the years?
Oh, and I'm paying myself back because I'm the #1 fan.
As we move on to event number 15, little Jano Peterson from Denmark's back on the track, and he's out there with 3 reserves. As they go to the first corner, Jano gets jammed down the first turn. That's Heinrich Gustafsson from Sweden in the lead. Ricky Miller, the USA's reserve, trying to get by. They bang elbows going into turn 3, and Gustafsson hangs on to the lead. Peterson goes the inside of Havelock. Look at the move by Jano, all the way to 2nd with a spectacular wheelie. Jano Peterson is absolutely incredible here at Long Beach. Ricky Miller tries to get around the outside of Peterson, but he can't do it. Gustafsson, 18 years old, one of the top finishers in the 1988 European Under-21 Championship, has the lead, but he has little Jano Peterson beaten on his back door. Peterson to the outside as they come off turn 2. Out to the wall, and he takes the lead away. Gustafsson took him as far to the wall as he could, and Peterson hung on and took the lead. Absolutely sensational by Jano Peterson of Denmark. He's going to go 4 for 4 if he can lead the rest of this one. Heinrich Gustafsson, the young rider from Sweden, running 2nd. Gary Havelock's 3rd. At the back of the pack, if you notice in that shot, there was Ricky Miller slowing way down and pulling to the infield. Coming down for the checkered flag and another win. The most popular Dane in Long Beach tonight, little Jano Peterson, and there's his Danish fans saluting him. Peterson is perfect through 4 rides. He's got a maximum at this point. Gustafsson, the impressive youngster from Sweden, took 2nd in that one with Havelock 3rd. Let's go to the man of the meeting, Jano Peterson.
Coming in that first corner.
Well, you know, I suppose it's instinct that tells you what to do when you're in there because you don't have time to think. And I just went for the inside, you know, tried to find my way through the crowd, and it worked out good.
What about when you had a lap to go? You must have been sweating a little bit that you weren't going to make it.
Yeah, well, I suppose that I'm not saying I wasn't sweating, but, you know, I was a bit worried out there, you know. But then again, you just got to fight for it, you know, and that's what I did.
Absolute fantastic ride. Well done, Jano.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Normally, a World Team Cup meeting ends on event 16. This is event 16, but in 1988, the FIM introduced a new rule where all the riders are on equal points or equal positions in their team standings will come back and contest a final round. Before we get to that final round, we have one heck of a race in this one. That's Hans Nielsen off the pole, undefeated on the night against the king of Long Beach, Sudden Sam Ermolenko. Nielsen gets the gate, and Ermolenko's left to battle for the number 2 spot with Per Johnson of Sweden. Ermolenko pulls ahead of Johnson. He goes to the outside and looks at Nielsen. No dice on that one. Johnson tried to come inside Ermolenko, but Ermolenko's tire in the dirt got the drive and powered back into the second spot. Running at the back of the pack at this one is Simon Wigg. Wigg has had a terrible night for England. He's been on the track 3 times thus far, 2 times. He's finished last. Here in his 3rd ride, he's running last. Contrary to running last, look at Hans Nielsen. Absolutely incredible form by the Dane tonight. He won the World Final in 86 and 87, and he currently cards the top average in the British League, and you can understand why after watching this performance here at Long Beach this evening. Coming down out of turn 4 in the Jerry King last lap flag's out for Hans Nielsen. He's going to keep his perfect score intact if he can hold on to the lead for 15 more seconds. Sam Ermolenko being humbled by Nielsen in this one. Ermolenko's been the top American all night long, but Nielsen's been the top rider on the track all night long. Coming down for his 4th checkered flag and 4th victory wheelie, Denmark's undefeated Hans Nielsen. 2nd spot went to Ermolenko, and the Danish fans are more than happy with that. That sews up the 1988 World Team Cup Championship for Denmark. Their 7th World Team Cup Championship victory and their 6th in a row. On the track, the boys are celebrating, give Nielsen the victory bumps for sewing up the crown. What's it going to take to beat these guys in 1989 short of a miracle? Well, one thing that's a real miracle here in Southern California are these beautiful Southern California girls, and we have plenty of them here in Long Beach Veterans Stadium tonight. Look at Brad Oxley, the track man. He's trying to get their attention by wheeling and showing off for them.
This is a special interview for all those English people back freezing in England. This is a Californian beauty.
Hi, I'm Diana.
Back to the infield now, and who's that? That's 1981 and 1982 World Speedway champion Bruce Penhall. We're ready to go to the final round, and this is the riders who had the 4th highest scores on their team coming out to challenge each other. England has pulled Simon Wigg off. I don't know why. He hasn't scored a point yet, and they replace him with Gary Havelock. Off the pole, that's Knudsen in the lead, Havelock 2nd. That's the USA's Lance King in 3rd, while Swedish reserve Heinrich Gustafsson, who came in for Connie Iverson's, at the back of the pack. King looks at the outside of Havelock as they come off turn 4. He's trying to make the dirt work. Havy pinches him up by the front chute wall. There's your leader, Tommy Knudsen, trying to make it 2 wins in a row in the 1988 final. Havelock bobbles as he tries to block King, and King takes full advantage and moves into the number 2 spot. Lance King with a nice move after a Gary Havelock bobble. Knudsen slows down the front chute. He's having some kind of problems. Lance King goes by and takes the lead, and Havelock slides through for 2nd. Havelock challenges King on the inside, but King beats him back down the back straightaway. Lance King for the USA looking for his first win of the meeting, has 1 lap to go. Gary Havelock's running in the 2nd spot. Whatever happened to Knudsen's bike has corrected itself because Knudsen is back under power. The battle for the lead, and King shuts the door in Havelock's face as they come off turn 2 the final time. Through the final bend, Lance King's going to take his first win of the meeting. Down for the checkered, it's Lance King. Gary Havelock takes a 2nd place spot. That puts England 2 points ahead of Sweden in the battle for 3rd. The 3rd spot went to Knudsen, while Gustafsson had to retire with mechanical problems. Tommy Knudsen, who's had a tough night here at Long Beach in 1988, is in the pits with Briggo now.
Tommy, rough night. Wonder what happened. Way in the lead, everything under control.
Well, I thought so. It felt like the bike was seizing. It was stopping. It really felt like it was tightening up. So I shut off in the end, and then it got going again. I don't know what it was. It might have been seizing the cylinder.
Still, it was a bit late now for anybody to catch up with Denmark anyhow, so...
Yeah, it didn't matter for the team because we won already, thank God.
it still would have been nice for you.
Oh, it would. I really want to win my last race because I started off with a 2nd and 2/3, and then a win, and it would have been nice to have finished off with a win, but that's the way it goes.
Do you enjoy it here, Tommy, the track here?
Oh, I love the track. It's a brilliant track. I just wish we had some tracks like this in Europe. It's absolutely brilliant.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy.
First shock of the meeting's coming up right now. That's Eric Gundersen. He's supposed to be on the track for this race, but the Danes, in a show of real team sportsmanship, Gundersen steps down and he's going to let reserve Danish rider Jan Jorgensen, who has not been on the track yet tonight, out to take his final ride. Jorgensen's going to be coming from the outside with Simon Cross off gate 1, Sweden's Tony Olsen, who only has 1 point up to now, out of gate 2, and Kelly Moran out of gate number 3. Jerry King, the line marshal, starts to move away. The tapes go up. Out of the number 2 slot, that's Tony Olsen, yet to win a heat tonight, but he's in the lead in one of the biggest races of the night for Sweden. Running second, it's Jan Jorgensen, followed by England's rider Simon Cross and Kelly Moran. Jorgensen has been waiting all night to take the Long Beach track. He's making good use of his opportunity. He's running second to surprise merchant Tony Olsen. Olsen came into this ride with only 1 point. In fact, for his 3rd ride of the night, they pulled him and put out a reserve. No reserve needed in this one. He's moving away from the pack. That's Jorgensen still in second. Running in 3rd, it's Simon Cross. We've got a great battle going on for that number 3 spot here. It's very important to finish 3rd or better in a World Team Cup Championship. If you finish 3rd or better, you don't have to run the qualifiers the following year. If you finish 4th, you're back and battling out with 3 other countries just to get back in the World Team Cup final. Tony Olsen trying to pull Sweden back even with England in that battle for the valuable 3rd place spot. Has less than a lap to go on the Long Beach Oval. He will have his first win of the night. Running in the 2nd spot, and his first ever appearance on this track, is Jan Jorgensen. Look at the battle for 3rd. Trying to come inside is Simon Cross. He cannot do it. The win to Tony Olsen. 2nd spot to Jorgensen. 3rd to Cross. Moran gets last. England and Sweden are tied on 20 points each with 2 heats to go. We might have a runoff at the end of this one to decide 3rd place. The Swedes are out to greet their countrymen there. That's not the Swedes' countryman, but Barry Briggs has one of them in the pits right now. It's the victorious Tony Olsen.
Tony, late in the night, good win. Why has it changed?
Well, I haven't changed anything on the bikes. It's just the start, you know. Made a start in this race and that's it.
Do you like the track?
Yeah, it's really good. It's a good racing track, and I mean, if you made a start and you go in the dirt, it's no way they can catch you.
What are you now then?
I'm 23 now, and been riding in England for two years now, and hope I can carry on.
What's the average age of the Swedish team? It's very young, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 22 years.
Oh, very good.
2 races to go on the night. Denmark's got first sewed up. USA has second sewed up, but what a war we're having for 3rd. Sweden's Jimmy Nilsson off the pole. England's Gary Havelock off the outside. Nilsson breaks. Bad break for Sweden. England can take full advantage of this one, but Havelock gets trapped in 3rd behind Sean Moran and Hans Nilsson. That's Jimmy Nilsson getting off his bike at the gate. Tough break for Sweden in that one. Check out the battle at the head of the pack. Hans Nilsson has not lost a race yet tonight. Sean Moran hasn't won one yet tonight, and that might all be changed right now. Coming down into turn 3 on the 2nd lap, that's Sean Moran at the head of the pack. Hans Nilsson in 2nd. Nilsson goes to the outside, but Moran beats him down the front straightaway once again. Running in 3rd is Gary Havelock, and boy, would he like to be running further up there, trying to put Sweden away in the battle for 3rd. Sean Moran will be coming down for the Jerry King last lap flag, and he starts to advance his lead over Hans Nilsson. He checks back and realizes Nilsson's falling back. Behind Nilsson, it's Gary Havelock. Havelock's far behind in 3rd, but he has been England's bright spark in this meeting. Without him, they would not be challenging Sweden for the 3rd spot. Sean Moran's going to take the big crown off Hans Nilsson's head as he comes off turn 4. The checkered flag, Nilsson's been beaten. Sean Moran with a glorious win over Hans Nilsson, and he stops Nilsson from getting a maximum here at Long Beach. The only maximum of the night goes to Denmark's Jano Petersen. There's Jimmy Nilsson's bike being taken across the track by the Swedish team. Tough break for Nilsson. Let's go down to the pits with the man who collected the biggest scalp of the night, Sean Moran, after his win over Hans Nilsson.
Shawnee, Another Danish win, but must finish off your night on a high note, beating Hans. Hans rode particularly well, but what a fabulous race it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was on Lance King's bike, which I had to borrow because my two obviously weren't going very well, and it seemed good. I made a good start and got out there. Very close to me was, I know, for the first couple of laps, but then I realized I should start getting my bike in the dirt and run around the whole outside, and it seemed to work out good. It was a nice feeling for me to beat him. I mean, I know it's a bit late, but kind of topped off a little bit for a second place for me.
It did. It was a superb ride. Well done.
Thanks, Barry.
Here we go with heat number 20. Is this the final one of the night? We don't know. The fans are a little disappointed at this one. Their favorite, Jano Peterson from Denmark, he stepped aside and he lets Johnny Jorgensen come in to take his last ride. Off the pole, it's Sam Ermolenko. The USA has second wrapped up. Per Johnson from Sweden, if he finishes ahead of England's Calvin Tatum, we'll have a runoff at the end of the night, and Per Johnson's in second with Tatum in third. Johnson trying the inside of Ermolenko. Tatum right behind Johnson. Bringing up the rear in this one, it's Jorgensen. But at the head of the pack, that's sudden Sam Ermolenko. Ermolenko has only dropped 2 points coming into this one. He has 2 previous wins on the night. Tatum in the battle of his life, trying to get by Per Johnson for the number 2 spot. If Johnson maintains second, they're going to be tied, and we'll have a runoff after heat number 20 for the 3rd place spot in the World Team Cup Championship. Ermolenko checking behind him to see what's going on, and he must be enjoying that battle back there between Tatum and Johnson. Coming down for the last lap flag, Ermolenko, it's academic. The USA is going to take second, and Denmark's going to take first, but the battle is still on for the number 2 spot back there behind Sam Ermolenko. Ermolenko has time to wheelie down the back chute the final time. That's Johnson just ahead of Tatum as they came into your screen. Off turn 4. Here comes Sam Ermolenko. He takes the victory. Johnson takes second. We're going to have a runoff for the 3rd place spot between Sweden and England. What a finish. Denmark wins the meeting on 44 points. The USA is second with 32. Sweden and England tie on 22. Their team managers have to make a decision in the pits right now to see who will contest the 4-lap runoff for the 3rd place spot. What a win for Denmark, but the USA with a credible 2nd place finish as they were far ahead of the 3rd place teams. Here come the riders for the runoff. England has chose Calvin Tatum, and Sweden has chosen Per Johnson. Promoter Harry Oxley is going to toss a coin to see who gets their choice of starting spots. Calvin might be threatening Per out there. He's got to be a little upset. Calvin beat Per Johnson in heat number 10, and Johnson came back to beat Tatum to set up this runoff in heat number 20. There they are, comparing notes. They shake hands. It's going to be war in just a couple seconds. And to bring you that war, direct from England, one of Speedway's finest announcers, the one and only Trevor Sparshat. Hello, race fans, and I'm very glad to be here at Long Beach tonight. As you know, I travel the world, the globe, watching Speedway all over the place, and this has been a glorious meeting. That's Calvin as he goes around to the front straightaway to get ready to start this one. John Lattiser, the IMS promoter, he's watching this one with keen eyes. I'm going to be in Mexico for the Mexican National in a couple weeks, but I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know if I'll be able to do the call. Off the inside pole, it's Per Johnson on the job, but Calvin Tatum out of gate 4. The English lads in the lead as they head in the first bend. Calvin Tatum, come on, Calvin, carry the flag. Per Johnson running second from Sweden. England boys are celebrating in the pits, and the fans in the stands are waving the Union Jack. Calvin has 3 laps to go here at Long Beach. He's got Per Johnson of Sweden behind him, and the English boys are looking at the World Team Cup final once again in 1989. Calvin Tatum riding the English-made garden. English Pride running in the lead in this runoff. English Pride's halfway home. We're back in the World Team Cup if he holds them over 2 more laps. Per Johnson on that Czechoslovakian-made John just can't seem to make it work here. He takes a look at the inside of Calvin, but Calvin holds him out. Down the back straightaway on lap 3. Calvin will be coming around for the last lap flag. Per goes wide. Calvin goes to main, and Per falls along inside. Per Johnson goes inside Calvin Tatum. Unbelievable. England might not make the 1989 World Team Cup runoff. Per Johnson with a half a lap to go, and he's got Calvin Tatum behind him. Coming off turn 4 for the last time, Calvin tries the inside. It's not going to work. Per Johnson wins a runoff. Sweden takes 3rd overall. Absolutely unbelievable. Sweden beats England and takes 3rd. The English boys can't believe it. The team performed like absolute rubbish here tonight. And there's Sweden celebrating as Calvin goes back to the pits. You can't take it away from Per Johnson, but England has to look at their side for next year. Very bad, very suspect. What do we got to do? Back to you, Scott Delosio. Danish fans are happy, and as you can see, the Danish riders are also happy. Nielsen, a near maximum. Jano Petersen, when he sat out his last ride, he still had a maximum. Eric Gundersen, the new world champion, rode impeccable as well. That's Kjell Lund, the Danish team manager, in there holding the trophy along with Hans Nielsen as they raise it over one of the California Beauties' heads. Last week at Vojens, Denmark, 3 of the Danes you see in this shot, Eric Gundersen, Hans Nielsen, and little Jano Petersen, they were on the rostrum at the 1988 World Speedway Championship in Vojens, Denmark. Once again, they're here now. At the World Best Pairs earlier in the year, Hans Nielsen and Eric Gundersen won. Denmark is a literal speedway motorcycle racing machine, and they've been that way for a few years.
The 1988 World Team Cup Speedway Championship is now history. For the 6th year in a row, the Denmark team took the title home. Paced by Jano Petersen, who had 12 points from 4 rides, Denmark swamped the competition and took a commanding lead after 2 rounds of action. For 6 years in a row, it's Denmark's. It's going to be there for another 3 unless somebody comes up with a miracle. For Raz Video, this is Scott Delosio, thanking you for joining us tonight.